About 9 to 10 years ago, we began to learn about a new complex disorder called eosinophilic esophagitis, where we were evaluating children with feeding problems, chest pain, regurgitative symptoms, and difficulty feeding and swallowing food. Ultimately realized that it was this disorder called eosinophilic esophagitis, or EOE. It rapidly became apparent that this is more than just an acid problem or a behavioral problem, but rather a complex disorder that requires the help of not only a gastroenterologist, but an allergist, and specifically a dietitian. It's rapidly become apparent that this is an allergic process, most of the time related to allergy to food. We set off to develop a comprehensive program to provide not only for their gastrointestinal health, but also to try to do the investigative studies that are needed to find out the why behind this, and to develop a treatment protocol that will help these children and these families who were suffering quite mightily with this disease. And with this multidisciplinary approach, we've been able to help multiple children and families in a successful, comprehensive, and caring fashion.
My name is Emma. I'm 8 years old and I have eosinophilic esophagitis. I'm allergic to eggs, nuts, wheat and dairy, mustard and shellfish.
We found out Emma had EOE because she started getting chronic daily stomach aches. We were referred to an allergist and a pediatric GI doctor, and from there they scoped her and saw that she had the classic signs of EOE with a narrowing esophagus and strictures. And I've spent many days, upset and crying because I know how hard it's going to be.
A typical day for my family usually means that Emma, first thing, right when she wakes up, before she's even really aware of anything, takes her medicine, because medicine requires so much time before she can go eat. The end item case to me is being on the elemental diet, feeding through a tube, and she's already allergic to so much stuff, and she's different than so many other kids because of those things. And she takes it in stride so well, but I just want her to be as normal as possible and not be special in that way. Some days she even brushes her teeth, curled up in a ball on the bathroom floor because she's hunched over in pain. And it's those times where it's hard to stay strong, but we try so that Emma knows that there's hope.
I really think that people should consider donating to Cured, because not only do 100% of the funds donated go straight to research, but this is such a new diagnosis, and I think it's becoming more and more prevalent. I think a lot of people have it and don't know that they have it, or same with their children, and it's so all-consuming. And you think about family gatherings and holidays and the way we celebrate, everything is wrapped around food. And when this is something that centers on what they can't eat, those children feel excluded and alone, and so do their families. And when money is getting put into research for either new treatments or better ways to test for this disorder than having to put my child under every single time, every 3 months, there's got to be a better way to handle this. There's got to be a better way to treat this.
My name is Dana Scott, and my daughter's name is Carissa Scott. She was diagnosed about 2 years of age. She suffered from severe reflux from birth, and we went through a battery of tests trying to determine until we finally decided to go ahead and scope her. And the first scope actually came back under eosinophilic diagnosis. It was a difficult transition. She doesn't totally understand why she can't eat it, but as she's gotten older, she's realized that if she does accidentally eat a food that she's not supposed to, that she does have a tendency to get sick. She leads a fairly normal life in that she's an all-star cheerleader and very athletic. The biggest thing, I guess, would be at night in her formula and the 8 different types of medications that go into it. that she has to drink to make sure that she gets all of her nutrients and all of her medication.
My name is Ellen Schoenfeld, and I am a nurse practitioner in the Pediatric Gastroenterology Department at Chalk Children's. I also have the great privilege of coordinating our multidisciplinary eosinophilic esophagitis clinic. Eosinophilic esophagitis is often referred to as EOE. EOE is a very, very difficult diagnosis because the diagnosis itself has to be made by an upper endoscopy. Upper endoscopies are invasive tests that require anesthesia, and although they are very safe, it is very, very anxiety-provoking to moms and dads when they are asked to have repetitive upper endoscopies. Unfortunately, because EOE is not well understood, we don't currently have any other method. The interventions involved with EOE can be of various types. The most common intervention that our clinic uses is diet manipulation. EOE is associated with some type of reaction to an ingested food. It is not the type of reaction that one would need to take an EpiPen and run to the emergency room, but rather a delayed hypersensitivity that presents with vomiting, feeding refusal. What we try to do in our clinic is provide the most comprehensive treatment plan that is possible to provide for that family. The top foods that have been implicated with EE across the nation are dairy, eggs, soy, wheat, fish and shellfish, peanuts, and tree nuts. Sometimes we use as a bridge swallowed steroids, actually steroids that children with asthma use, but the medications, instead of being inhaled, are swallowed, and this coats the esophagus, therefore getting rid of the eosinophils. Unfortunately, swallowed steroids are only a bridge. If you stop the steroids, the cells will come back. So we really encourage our families to look at diet and diet manipulation as a mainstay to therapy. We're hoping that by introducing this disease state to more and more community members, that we can garner enough interest and enthusiasm for research and financial support for research through community effort.
Hello, my name is Sophia. I am 9 years old and I have EOE. I don't really get to do other things that people do, like eat these things, and it makes me upset because I don't really understand it yet. And it's just so hard because I see everyone else eating these things, and when I'm told no, I just basically get really sad.
It's been a very long and difficult journey for our entire family, and she continues to have countless doctor's appointments, many different specialists, lots of surgeries. A typical day, I woke up at 6 in the morning. I started cooking something for my daughter for lunch every day. She cannot buy a school lunch, she never has. It has to be made from scratch. She's been in and out of the hospital many times, and she recently received a really lovely cape from the Eosinophilic Family Coalition, and we get to add 1 star for every time she's been hospitalized to have an endoscopy. We have no idea how many stars will end up on her cape. Could be a cupboard by the time we end up finding out exactly what foods she's allergic to and exactly what we need to eliminate from her diet. She's never been able to tolerate milk her entire life. We've also been avoiding chicken, beef, pork, turkey, peanuts, all tree nuts, soy, eggs, fish, shellfish, oats, peas, green beans, all beans, lentils, and possibly more because the list is so long I can't even remember it all. One of our proudest accomplishments and the toughest things that we've ever done in this lifetime, I think, was when my daughter Sophia was both on a food trial, which is the hardest food trial I've ever had to help her through, and she also earned her black belt in Taekwondo recently. So it was a really tough combination to do both at the same time, But we're hopeful that one day there will be a cure for her, and she's going to get better.
Hi, my name is Jacqueline, and I'm a stay-at-home mom. My son Kai Tran is 5.5 and has eosinophilic esophagitis. He was diagnosed in June of 2015. Kai had reflux when he was born, and we did reflux meds for about 2 years of his life. When he was around 1 year old, he had ear tubes put in due to continuous ear infections. And it was around when he was 3 years old that I noticed he was having difficulties with chewing, and so I approached his doctors, and they said that he had enlarged adenoids and tonsils was the reason that they gave me. So we had his tonsils and adenoids removed, and it was always another reason why that these were happening. And around 4 years old, Kai had his EGD done, and the scope was showed that he had eosinophilic esophagitis, and this was the first time I had ever heard of it. When I removed his favorite foods, Kai stood in the grocery store crying, and then he blamed me. And he said it was all my fault and that I did this to him. And he still will say that this is all my fault and that I've done this to him when he can't have something that he wants, like a cupcake or chips. Kai has a feeding tube because his allergies were so bad. He came back, tested positive to everything, and while with the eosinophilic esophagitis, the only real way to tell that they're allergic to something is by scope. He was showing symptoms. I would give him one black bean and he would have projectile vomit all over the floor. And so as we started to see this progression, I felt like I'd be chasing myself around with this disease, and he wasn't growing, he wasn't thriving that we needed him to. And so we went ahead and opted for the feeding tube, and he's doing well now, but our typical day is mornings. He gets up and we try to do something in the morning fun. We do a bolus feed, which is a feeding through the tube, but it's ran by air gravity with a special formula. And then I prepare a formula and bring it with us, and throughout the day I'll give him formula. And he does take, we keep on hand inhalers and such because he has bad asthma now. And in the evening, around dinner time, he's done for the day and has to sit for a 10-hour feed. And that is our day. I think it's difficult to understand this disease. One day it seems like everything's okay, and then the next, it's like he can't have any of these foods, and they say, well, why not? You gave it to him before. And so I think it was hard for family to come around to the reality, but I was dealing with it quietly, but it was just a build-up over the years. I would want my son to know that I love him, and that I'll always be here, and that I just want him to be happy and healthy. I'll always be here.
Shirts all wet from your tears, my notebook's filled up from the last few years. So happy to have you in my arms, so happy to have you in this car. I wanna take care of you, I wanna see you when you're broken and scarred. That's when I love you the most. Now look up and count the stars, 'cause I'll be here till the end of the night. I'll be here till the end of the fight. I'll be here for as long as you need me, darling. I'm yours, darling. I'm yours. there something that I